Okay, so now let's go for the blocking. So we have a blocking model here. So let's start deblocking it. So first I'll go to File. I'll choose Save Scene As. Now I will just paste the location of address, and then I will type in here the block underscore leg. So that's the first part of the model that we will be deblocking. I'll choose Save As there. Now I'll do the usual procedure, such as I'll select this, W for move, set it aside, and then I will press Shift, drag it at the center here. I'll type in, wait, let me just reset this there, set this so that I find this 0 on the x-axis, so it will be at the center of 3D space. And then I'll select this, Control H to hide them, bringing out my outliner. Then I will select this half by double clicking the next, delete, and then I'll just double click and delete the rest of that half, saving my work. Now it's time. So in the blocking, the first thing that you will do is to add vertices and edges onto your object. So what you will do is you will choose or activate your multi-cut tool, and then I will hold Control and Shift as I hover over. Now I'll be adding 2 multi-cuts, 1 and 2 here, there. And then I'll hold Control and Shift once more, and I will add 1 at the side. So I added 2 multi-cuts at the front and 1 at the side. Okay, now the side multi-cut or the side cut that I have added also went up until the head, but that's okay, do not mind it yet. Let us just focus on the leg. So next thing, I'll switch to object mode, space bar, and then I'll turn on polygon selection, and then I will just select here, there, and then I will press Shift Control I to invert the selection. I'll press Control H to hide it, and now I will start to deblock this with the help of these added edges. I'll turn on the edge selection. I'll double click this loop, hold Shift and double click the next loop, hold Shift and double click the next, and the next, and the next, so that I am going to be selecting all of those loops. I will hold Shift and select this portion, because this will not be selected by loops, or I cannot select it by double click. And then I will hold Control and deselect this and deselect this. So now I have all of these loops selected. Next, I will hold Shift and I will press right click, and then I will choose circularize components, and there, all of the edges has been circularized. So the next thing that I will do now is just press Q, switch to the selection tool, and then I will start refitting this onto the reference. I'll just double click, press E for rotate. I can switch the rotate tool to here in the reset. I will switch the rotate tool to object so that it will be on straight or aligned position. And then I'll just press close. Now I will just rotate it carefully, keeping the topology flow as is or aligned. And then I'll press R and scale along the x-axis so that it fits or follows the reference. I will be repeating, double click this, press E, and then rotate it again. I will be repeating the process as follows: pressing R, and then scaling them in. Next, I'll just double click. And then here, again, I will select those edges. I'll deselect the ones that are standing or slanted. And then I'll press E. Spacebar, I will look here at the perspective because right now it is twisting. I'll twist it outward like this. Yeah. So this has a different flow. So I want it straightening out of the foot. That's my concern, not yet on the legs. So that's how I manage the flow of this. There. Okay, next thing, I will now tap spacebar, turn off the solid view mode. Now I have this. Okay. Saving the work, W for move. And then the next thing is I will now start aligning it, panels orthographic, onto the side view. Going for see-through mode there. So I will just once more repeat my steps. I'll double click this. R, rescale it. So this is more of scaling now. I'll double click this, scale, and then W for move. But this time, I will start to do some tilting onto this. So I will hold Control and click on the vertex selection so that the vertex selection is also active. Next is I will turn on my edge slide here, and then I'll press E and I'll start to rotate it. So as I rotate it, as you can see, it is the edges are sliding along. Sorry, the vertices are sliding along the edges. There. So let's say now I will press W for move and I will start dragging this carefully to shape out and follow the knee, or how the knee joint folds. I'll be doing the same here. I'll drag it down and then I'll press E to rotate and drag it up, W for move, and carefully raising it there. And then here I'll select this, raise it up, and then here raise it again, and then here. So now carefully adjusting the joints, following it, and then again I'll select the bottom ring of vertices here, or the bottom loop, and then I'll start again in tracing it while the edge slide is on. Okay, using this, dragging here, sliding this a bit, dragging down. So let's say I have it here. I have this here. Let's say I have that. Have this. Okay. Now the next is I'll turn this off, of course. And then I will start carefully positioning these. Now I know that this other calf here, that's for the other leg. So I will start tracing the position of the calf here. There. Next, I will just select this, go to my edge slide, dragging it up, and then turning it off, and then pushing it here. Then I'll just raise it up carefully. Remember, my edge slides are already off here. and here. Okay, so next one, so that's the calf being traced, and now onto the ankles. Careful. Space bar. I can look here, or I can turn this into the front view and then go for another see-through mode here. There. So I'll select this once again. After I have that selected, I'll do a scale there, so it widens accordingly. And then I need an extra loop here. Okay, so this is what I'll do. Since I need an extra loop there, I will just do another multi-cut tool. I'll go back to object level. I'll go to multi-cut tool, holding control and shift there. Let's say I'll place it there, and then I'll just turn it off. I'll press R for scale, switch to the edge selection, double click. So here I can just drag that along there. Let's say W for move. Oops, sorry. I'll press R to scale and dragging that forward. And then here inwards. And then the ankles here, I'll just select these and then thin it there. Now that's looking better. Going for preview or solid view mode there. So the next thing that I will do is I'll go to my vertices, Q here, panels orthographic, panels perspective there. Now let's say also I'll select the vertices here. So those four cornered vertices I will start to select, and then I'll use the edge slide once more, and then I'll press W and drag it downwards there. That's the drag downwards onto that, and then I will just press 3 to test the smoothness. 1, saving work there. Okay, so that's how I debox that. Now turning it off, I'll start deboxing the foot, right? The foot base, or this will be the footwear base. I'll turn on the multi-cut tool, hold control and shift, and there, let's say 50%. There. Pressing Q, there we go. Now the next thing that we will do here is we will start here. The roundness of the heel, I'll select this, and this I'll press W, turn on my edge slide, and then I'll just start dragging that there. I can press R and scale to slightly decrease that amount there, to narrow it a bit. And then I can do the same here. Again, I can scale it a little. There. Okay, and then I can turn this off. Oops, let's keep it on for this move. W for move, I'll drag it towards that. There. Okay, so now that's how these things are looking. I'm turning this off. So the next thing is I will now carefully create the roundness of the foot here. So what I will do with this is I'll select, let's say, the polygon selection. I'll select it that way, but I want it to be pointing where the polygon is facing. So what I'll do is I'll go here at the edge selection, and then I will just go to component. They're slightly heading towards that, right? So I can drag it to that direction a little bit there, and then slightly I will now start to drag it down. So I can go to vertices, turn the component to object once more, go to polygon there, and then I will just drag down. Let's say vertex selection. I'll drag here and I'll press R to scale it down completely. W for move, so it's now still on the ground line and it is now dragging forward such. If I press number 2, as you can see there, the roundness is being achieved. Next, I'll drag here, so I am on preview number 2. I'm doing the preview number 2. I'll drag around here for the roundness of the foot blade, rounding it along a little there, and then here on the other side I'll do the same there, and then here I'll be dragging a little also, but the difference is going to be at the bottom, wherein I'll be pushing this and this inwards and a little bit more, and then here, there, I'll just be pushing it a little further inwards into this. There. So now, dragging this onto this, saving the work. Now we have this. Okay, now for the arc of the instep part of the foot, I can select these vertices here, and then I can go to my edge slide here and I can drag it down there, so it goes down as such, right? And then I can turn that off. I can switch to my polygon selection or face selection here. I can drag this up. Oops, let's drag those two up instead. Up and a little forward. There. So now the footwear base is also ready. Right? Space bar, let's check. Okay, reference wise, it's looking fine. Good, saving the work. So that's for the foot, and this is now for the knee. So next, I'll go to my vertex selection, pressing 3. So far, things are looking fine for that. Next, I'll go to my panels, orthographic and front view. So let's say I will keep the knee this way in preparation for the in preparation for extracting costumes. So what I will do next is I'll create a patch topology, so that when the knee gets rigged, it will be ready for the animation, or it will be ready to flex or bend or get distorted. So what I will do is I will just add a polygon, select here, pressing Q. I'll select all of this here, there, that's the knee, and then I will just do let's say here I'll do a surface slide, I'll do an extrude, and then I will carefully adjust, use the scale and then do a scaling inwards. Do that. There. That's the scaling that we need to create that. Let's just rescale a bit more. Oops, let's just scale at the center. There. Just a little. And then I'll just press Q, W for move and drag it a little forward. Oops, sorry. Turning off that edge slide there. There. So slightly bring it out. Okay. So now I have that patch topology there. Also a simple patch topology here at the back. I can also do it this way if you prefer. I can select these surrounding this part, do a connect, Q, there. This is another way of doing the patch also. And then I can select the multi-cut tool, shift and snap onto the center and cut to the vertex here. Q. That's one way, another of doing it. I'll do it again. Shift, connect here, Q, multi-cut. So it's best that you assign a multi-cut tool shortcut in your shortcut list or hotkey list. Multi-cut here, Q, there. Vertex, select, and then I'll use the edge slide once more. Press the scale tool R, and then I'll spread it out. See? There. So that's how you can have your patches there. Okay? So when they are moving, they're ready. There's one, save. So let's just arrange the leg here, W. So this is the front. Don't worry about that. That's the back side. There. Then, of course, panels, orthographic and back. I'll select the back. Here is the back vertices for the legs direction. And then this one I'll drag along here. There. So now I have traced the leg. Save the work, Shift H. So this is, let's say, the deblocking of the leg. I'll press 3. Pressing 1, saving work. So the next thing that I will do now is the usual things, such as edit, duplicate special. So copy, preset, negative on the X scale, apply, close. Now I'm going to select this. I'll go to combine, and then I'll press Control and click the vertices. Be mindful of the vertex count, because the next thing is I'll go to edit mesh, and then I'll just go to merge the vertex count lessons in accordance to the number of vertices at the center. This, and then W for move, and then I will just go back to object selection. I'll go to edit, delete all by type history, save my work. I'll delete this subgroup, and then I'll just rename this to deblock underscore leg. So this is the deblock leg model. Okay, so that is how you deblock a leg.